Zoom to say who's here.
Bob Wilkinson.
Dick Hilmer.
Joan Franklini.
Stephanie Gaskill.
Charles Ellis.
Michael Herman?
Artie Truesdale.
Okay, any public comment? Nope, no one's here, so that's good. Okay. What I wanted to talk about is the whole process we went through, and I know I got some nice feedback from Michael about some stuff he would like to see. And maybe we could just go around to see how everyone liked doing this in a condensed format. Because we were done by January, which I personally thought was good. But maybe we can go around and do anything else you think we should look at. And if there's any sort of subcommittee, we need to maybe address a couple of issues that are outstanding. So who wants to start? Bob, want to start?
I thought it went well. I like brevity, whether we're talking about speakers at town meeting or anything else. We all tend to get a little wordy, we humans. So I thought, yeah, I liked the condensed version. I'm not sure we need a subcommittee until I know what we might need a subcommittee for.
Okay. Dick?
I don't have much of a frame of reference, so that it went smoothly for a first time through.
Okay, Stephanie?
Yeah, I think it's really good the way you're going to be doing it. I would not not change it.
Okay, Charles?
I thought it went well, but I would throw out there that I believe we had far fewer applications and for a lot less money than we normally do. So it may not represent a normal year. It doesn't represent a year that's similar to the last 4 or 5 years in terms of the amount of applications and the amount of money.
Okay. Michael?
I think it was great. I thought the brevity of it and the focus, I was mostly looking at the financials, and I think a lot of that got cleaned up this year. Now I have a very clear understanding of what was outstanding, what is outstanding, what we have to work with, so we can kind of strategize for the next years coming, and even if we do something off-cycle, we're much better prepared. I thought it was a very good conversation about debt and figuring out how it's structured, what's outstanding right now for us, how we did the Eldridge Park, and how we're doing something different by paying off part of it now. I think those are all new things that we've been really able to leverage the committee, but then again, protected, in my opinion, for the future, and whoever sits behind this dais in the future that is making decisions for the community. I brought up to Joan and Stephanie and Jennifer the outstanding balances and trying to keep up with the projects, because we have projects going back from literally 2020 that were applications from 2020, which doesn't mean they get approved in 2025, but then they're able in 2000, as we all know, to the 2000, they get approved in 2021, and then they go on the fiscal year 2022. So 22s were really applications from 20. And I guess I feel this way about all government and select board, and if we're allocating money, I want people ready to be using it. And because we're maybe not this year, but in other years, we're not granting all of other people's requests because we don't have enough money. And it's for me to think, say 100,000, 200,000 has been sitting out for 5 years, and we're not able to fund something for $25,000 or $50,000. Kind of bothers me. You know, come when you're ready, and that's, I believe, what this is about, and that's the application process, and make sure you're ready to go with the project. Things happen. Of course, big projects take a little longer, and this is one piece of the financing where they got to get a lot. Smaller projects, you know, I just think we need to, maybe in the application, I suggested we make it clear that we would love a written follow-up from the grant awardee, you know, annually. That we're not chasing them down. It's incumbent on them. They were given the money. They need to report back in writing to us. And we need to then decide how much further we go forward with this. And I think it will maybe give people a little call to action and know that the town only has a certain amount of money it can give out, and we want to do it expeditiously, and we want to be generous with everybody, but we also don't want to have money held up.
Yep.
And I feel that same way with taxes, I feel that same way with all of that. So I just thought of that. I think what Jennifer's done to commend her, and especially also our finance department and the new munis that they're able to put us in, and I know you're continuing to work on that, and they're gonna come in and talk to us about it. It's still a little clunky with the reports. I don't understand everything, and I hope they can come in and show us that we can, Jennifer can run the reports herself even on OpenGov, and probably be able to print them out for every meeting. So we're constantly updated. I want to see us use our money as efficiently and as beneficial to the community as possible and not get these pockets stuck.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Great.
Otherwise, and I know I'm a little lengthy when I speak, so, no, I know it, but.
Hardy, I think it's
On
great.
point.
All great stuff. Hardy, anything?
Yeah, like Dick, this is my first time around, so I don't have much to compare to, but what Michael is saying, absolutely critical. I really like the idea of getting written reports instead of having to chase everybody down to get an update when you're doing that. I think that's really good to put it on the people that are getting the money from us.
Yep.
That's,
Stephanie?
Well, I would just have a question about that, because the one exception to all of these things we're talking about is the Affordable Housing Trust, where we give them very large amounts of money. They end up with a large bank account with that money sitting there, and yet we do not get any information from them. But, so I think that's concerning to me.
well, I agree, and I think that should follow into that same line of reporting. Maybe quarterly is too much, but to get updates on all these projects to see how they're going along, because we are dealing out large amounts of money, and like Michael said, there's a lot of pockets of money just kind of sitting there. Affordable housing is difficult because you need that buffer sitting there so you can move quickly to purchase property. You don't always know what you're going to be doing with that money sitting in the bank. So that's a little tricky.
So,
I think we have to be, it's really the responsibility, I think. I asked for an update for the projects that I have, and I got a very thorough email update from on about 5 different projects, and all I had to do was ask. I thought it was really I want to be careful about requiring quarterly or semi-annual reports. I think who's ever got responsibility on this committee for a project, at least with most people, if you ask for an update, you'll get an update. If you don't get an update, that's a different thing.
well, this is sort of what I want to talk about, and that's why I thought there could be a little sub-team. We had a sub-team in the past. It was John Lapoulos, myself, and Kevin, and we came up with a new process. And I think part of it is there might be an email that goes out, and maybe Jennifer sends it out to everyone, let's say in February, to say, we would like an update by April, and here's what we want in the update. And, not 20 pages, but 2 pages, so we're all not chasing people. There are certain people, John's been working with Oddfellows. Those guys are tough to get an update from that is coherent. So I think it's going to be due diligent for that. I would love to make an application that says your project has to be shovel-ready. I think we've been dragged on, Michael, I totally agree, and people ask for money and then it's not ready, and maybe the term's not shovel-ready, because housing is not shovel-ready, but, a term that is clear of what we expect. And I also think in the past, people said they couldn't get it done, and we said, okay, versus saying, sorry, we're going to take the money back. I think it was a lot of that. The other thing is we have a great finance team now, and they're letting us spend the money when it comes back. in the past, we never knew what money was out there. And so now more than ever, it's critical to get that money back. And the finance team is going to come our next meeting and explain sort of how all these things work, because the documents we got were just too confusing for anyone. And Sedgwick is working on an Excel that should be easy for all of us to follow. The other thing I would like to see, I really like the fact that we voted against the housing projects before we even looked at them from the other towns. I think it freed us up right away versus having people come in that we were not going to fund no matter what. I think it would have been great to have the due diligence from HAC, that wasn't legally acceptable since they asked all the other towns for money. So there's some people who apply who know the rules that I think would have been good to come in. I didn't think all the presentations were brief. We asked them to be brief, and some of them were a little torturous because I don't think they had their story correct, and they just might have made up some stuff as they went. And I would like to look at how much money we gave every organization, and should we still continue supporting some of them? I think we've given a lot to some of them who have not necessarily proved the outcomes that they said to begin with, if that makes sense.
Joan, just a question. I agree with Mike's points. It's really easy to get lost in the sauce where things are. If I recall correctly, our grants are for 5 years. Is that mandatory?
No, 2 to
2
3.
years?
2 or sometimes 3,
Okay.
except for the housing trust, because they sort of roll the money in.
I think we need to shorten that up. I do like the idea, Charles, I applaud your diligence. I don't even have contact information for some of my folks anymore because I did a computer switch that didn't go too well. I like the idea of Jennifer contacting them, say, every 6 months and just say, give us an update. I have the 2 for the Council on Aging. I have no idea what's going on. I was down there for a Bill Amaru's seminar or speech, and I didn't see any work taking place there, but it could be somewhere that I don't know. But I just think that's crazy because now, granted, this isn't a lot of money. It's 27 and 17, but if they're not using it, so I think we should basically give them a year and a half or 2 years max, and then just say, look, you'll have to reapply. But some of these things hang out there a really long time. Because what happens is we continue them. Maybe that's where the 5-year idea is coming from. We continue them, another 2 years go by, and it just gets crazy.
I think in the past, when Walter was here, people did have 5 years on some.
That's what I recall.
Yes.
They did.
And it took,
Jennifer's over there.
yes?
Can I just remind that in our grant application and then the confirmation letter and the what to do, we ask them for written
I know.
updates every 6 months. What happens
Oh,
is
okay.
the liaison often talks to them, like Charles does, and gets information. And I know I copied John on all the minutes from affordable housing and all the meeting, all the things they vote on. It doesn't always come through here. I also get asked by affordable housing to write the report. They do it once a year, and Elizabeth comes in once a year. So I can certainly remind people that they have it in writing, that they should supply us something brief in writing.
I think,
every
but I think that we should send them something at a certain time and say, this is due. If we don't get it, we shouldn't be funding them anymore. I mean, because we have some of the same people who don't provide it. And I go to meet with Peter on the academy, but he doesn't do that willingly. We're giving them the money, not,
Yeah.
I think the onus,
And I would suggest we should do it at the 6-month mark, so right at the beginning of the calendar year, and then right before closing, like for May,
Mhm.
your funds are due to expire, what's happening? Is this project really gonna move? Because we'd like the money back or not, you must report at the end of the year, or something to that effect.
what we do have to keep in mind is they apply in November. They don't get the money until July.
Right, July is the,
So if we say, what we put on them was, they get the money in July, we, at the end of the calendar year, would write like a report. And that gives them, 5 months? And so at that point, they should at least have a good status for us of where their project is.
what happened last year, Jennifer and I spent like a few hours going through every single project of what was open and not open. There was a bunch of confusion on a couple of them because their invoices weren't correct. And I think we just have to be super clear, like, you cannot pay for, we're not paying for estimated work. We're not prepaying. The town has to follow the same rules. I mean, Bob all of a sudden found out the money was spent. He didn't even know it was spent. I mean, and the town is one of the worst in terms of we're just going to take the money. So I think we have to hold everyone to the same standard, housing trust included.
And that just reminds me.
I agree to a degree, but I think part of the issue is contractors. Okay, you go and you get your bid, then you apply, and then another fiscal year changes, then that amount goes up or down, or they can't fit you into that little time slot that we're giving them. So I guess what I'm saying, as long as we get a report that they're working on it and doing that, I don't think we should cut them off at 1.5 years or 2 years if they haven't used all of that
I
money,
think-
but the project is still going.
I think 2 years is more than enough time because all these projects, like we've had the conservation signage, I want to say 6 years now. Like, that should have been cut off.
Is that this one?
That's yours, yes. Like,
6 years is a long
it's a
time.
long time.
Yeah.
I just inherited it,
Absolutely.
what, 5 or
Correct,
6
I know.
months ago?
And sometimes, like, there was, the academy had trouble getting material to meet historic code, something like that. You could say, okay, we
Well, they
told
didn't
them.
have trouble. They weren't going to follow historical codes, and they had to change what they did.
Right, right, so, but there was, there was circumstances that all of a sudden came up that said, they can't get it done in this time, but reality, they didn't do the paperwork up front potentially.
But Joan, you have to be careful how you define shovel-ready and things be done.
Correct, as I said, I don't wanna use the
Well, I'll
term.
give you an example. The boat project
I know,
was a project that was defining a certain amount of money for them to use, but they couldn't spend it,
right,
for them to use to do fundraising. I'll report on it, but they've gotten more money already than what we gave them. But until they get another 2.5 million, they're not gonna reach the 3 million. That was never a number that could have been done within a 1 or 2 year period. Fundraising it's nationwide fundraising, takes longer than that. So each project has to be looked at on the specifics of what it is. I mean, they're doing a good job at this point in time, but they've still got a ways to go.
see, but there I disagree with you. I would have said we gave them that application. I thought within the 3 years, they were gonna have the money raised. We can go back and look at the notes. It wasn't that it was gonna drag on for 5 to 10 years.
I didn't say it's gonna be 5 to 10 years, but it'll be, hey, so what are we gonna do? If after 3 years, they've got 2.5
we
million, they're
vote on it.
500,000 short, and
But I
they've
think
got,
it's a
and they've
vote.
got, no, let me ask a question. After 3 years, they've got 2.5 million, they're 500,000 short, and if, at that point, and that money that's been committed for other private donations is based on the town also submitting, we're gonna pull the town money at that point in time?
I mean, I think we're talking about hypotheticals.
Right.
Nobody's looking to pull any
Correct.
money from anybody. Everybody's just looking for a consistent written updates and that projects are moving along.
Look.
There's always gonna be exceptions. I said that when I
Right,
brought this
exactly.
up. There's gonna be exceptions for the Affordable Housing Trust based on how they work. There's gonna be exceptions. The big one on here, the biggest one is the CG.
Eldridge Park.
Well,
Yeah.
we did an exception for Eldridge Park, and we
Right.
worked through it. All I'm saying is, the biggest one on here is the 245 for the Cho. We understand that. That's, but they can still give a written update every 6 months, how much they've raised and every year. But nobody's looking to take away people that are actively working
Right.
on their projects. That's not what the intention is. The intention is that we all, because, everybody says when they get on this committee, and it changes annually, because we're appointees from other committees, and we're all like, we're getting up to speed, we're getting up to speed. it would be great if once we granted these people money, we have it already in the paperwork. So you guys or somebody else decided that this was the best way to go. All I'm saying is, let's actually do what we said was the best process. If
Right.
you're saying it's already there, a 6-month written update, right?
They do need to be.
Yeah, we're not asking for anything new.
I wondered, I was thinking about Michael's feedback, and he said he wondered if applicants did need to know more of this right up front. And I wondered if we should prepare some simple directions about what it means to get a grant, what compliance looks like, to go on the website before people even apply, so they're better informed when they come in of what the expectations are.
Because I hadn't read that material. I read the application. Application doesn't say anything about.
Yes,
being
that's a little
responsible.
town, that's a little subcommittee I think could be formed is,
It just needs one sentence, please, you know, the grantee will be
I
required.
think it needs more than one sentence when you read the application, because I also think we need to add in anything about a historic preservation restrictions.
Ahead of time.
That's
Yeah,
in
yeah, it's another thing that could be.
grant agreement.
Right, but that should be up there ahead of time. I think there's just a couple of things that we could look at. And I do think in the application, we could say, when you come in to present, we expect 5 minutes, like a short, we all read your application. This is just a short 5 or 10-minute presentation. We don't need to, you know, re-go through everything, but also give them all an opportunity to come in person and present their update. I thought OCT did a great job presenting their update. I think Joe does a great job all the time presenting their updates. I mean,
And
I think that's
Elizabeth
good for
Jenkins
all of
would be
us.
happy to come in and present an update, and that's just, you know, I just think it's good standard
Yep.
procedure, but.
Yeah, so I think that's something that we should look at. I think the other thing we want to talk about is accepting applications after the time, and I know we did it for the Playhouse, and at the last meeting, someone told Oddfellows that they can come in and submit for November. I mean, in our meeting, they said, you know, you can come back. I don't know.
I think the only exception should be the town. In other words, I agree, we should push it all to May, but the town is the one exception that I would allow for. Doesn't mean we have to approve it, it just means that we would consider it. But I agree, we're going askew.
Yeah. And I think if we did it for the town, I don't ever want to do, they come in September, we all have to meet in 3 weeks, so we can meet a deadline for the town warrant. And I would love to be able to say, here's the deadline, town. It's not, it can't be crisis mode again, because that got a little ugly for some of us. And the town should just know, if you're thinking about this, here's the timeline.
Is it right to treat the public different than the town?
Yeah.
I think,
The money is for both public and for non, and for government. I think everybody should live by the same set of rules.
I don't have a problem with that, I just, no, I don't have a
think-
problem with that. I think that if we're gonna do that, we should stick to
John?
the annual period.
I like sticking with the annual, but in emergencies and, you know, extenuating circumstances. I understand that's hard to say, but there may be some things that come up from the public or that. But I think we can justify looking at the project, what's critical or really something that came up or what's something that just people want. Because at the end of the day, you do it 2 cycles, they're gonna see the balance of what we have available, and then they're gonna come in because there's no competition. That's the way I would do it. I would say, you know, by the time November comes around, no one else is really applying. The pool's gonna be much less, but I know this CPC has $600,000.
Right, that's what I want to
So
stop.
I'm gonna put in for 3,
Yeah, I mean,
and just to get it,
You made a
because,
good point, it's just simple, politics.
yeah, it's
Don't
just
come in when there are
business.
12 people, come in when there are 1.
right.
Right, and you know that there isn't gonna, it's not gonna go over the amount.
But we have to make it really clear, like, there are no exceptions. You're either gonna do it or you're not. And it's easy to get drawn into a really worthwhile cause. So we either have a rule or we don't.
Yeah.
But,
Once you open up I'm sorry, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Once you open up exceptions, it's very hard to find what's worthwhile and what's not worthwhile.
I agree, Chuck.
I mean, a few years ago, we had, whatchamacallit, the Main Street,
Yeah, Firehouse.
and, not Firehouse, the
Masonic Hall?
what?
The housing,
Masonic Hall?
The
yeah,
house.
Masonic Hall, yeah.
Yeah, we had that come up.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess it wasn't urgent because it didn't get passed eventually, but then it got passed later.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
every time an exception like that has come up, we basically have said, okay, in the past.
No, we didn't say okay to the Masonic Hall to 104, we waited, because we didn't have, it was presented last minute, there was a lot of drama, we pushed them to the following year. The one we passed just now, the big one was the
Eldridge.
Eldridge. And their rationale was strong, but to that point, you know, yeah, we have 600 left, to your point, people are gonna come in.
They weren't even looking for what's left, they were looking for a bonding.
Right.
So it was gonna be, it could have been any time,
I know.
you know? It's,
Except that when I look at Eldridge Park and how important that was to the town, and how important the timing on that was, so that the construction could begin right after the baseball season this year, I would hate to have a situation come up with that kind of urgency that we could help the town in a major town project like that, and have us say, so, we're sorry, we're hard and fast, we do not take it. I would think what Bob had originally said of the only exception to actually be able, we don't have to grant it, but the only exception we had for considering an application would be something from the town.
But I think Charles is right, I don't think we can legally do that.
I don't think you can exclude people.
No, you can't exclude them, because the money's good for private and public.
Just a little anecdotal here. Working for another town with another town administrator, I can't actually remember what the project was based upon, but it was, line was drawn that if you're gonna do this, then the rest of the town should be able to do it also. And then we continued on that we have to lead as the town employees for 25 years in this Lower Cape, we had to lead by example. So that what was, had to, projects had to be public, had to, would not show up as the town had to pay it
Well-
a priority.
And, you know, we had 2 years ago, we had, the Oddfellows came in and said they needed $5,000, otherwise the project wasn't gonna finish, they needed $5,000 more to finish it. That to me felt like they didn't have their act together in the first place, and we voted yes, because we had a little bit of money left, and that's what I would like to stop somehow legally, and, I mean, if we could do what Bob said, I would agree that would be a fair thing to do, but I don't think we could do that, so I
There
don't,
will be projects where there's cost overruns, bids come in higher than what they think they're gonna be, and people need extra money to finish it because there's price increases that took place. There will always be, as long as we're gonna have inflation, that's gonna happen.
but we only started doing this a couple of years ago, that we allowed people to come in for the second half. We didn't, all my 6 years on, for the first, I would say, 4 years, we did not let people come in off-cycle.
John? Stephanie, I also was a great advocate of the Eldridge,
Yep,
but when all's said and done, that was bad planning, I think.
yes.
If the town knows, then they'll plan accordingly, I think. That was a big project, and I understand all the rationale, and that's why I wanted to do it. But it still leaves a little bit of a bad taste because, you know, we have a lot of town employees that are paid to get ahead of the curve here. So, you know, I just don't, you know, I regret that we were put in a position where we had to do that. But I think we either have a fast, I'm okay with whatever you want to do. I don't feel all that strongly about it, but I do think you have to have a fast rule because that allows everybody to plan accordingly, including the town.
You're here on that.
I agree. What's your thought, Michael?
I think we just need to be fair for everybody.
Right. So what would you vote for? Have people be able to come in or not?
I would rather not have them come in an off-cycle unless it was an absolute emergency. And we can figure those things out. You know, if it's just planning and somebody had a cost overrun, hopefully if they're, don't hold this word technical, but shovel-ready, or they're ready to go with their project and they have an estimate, they are gonna move through that project. There isn't going to be, it's a 6-month window or 8-month window that they have. Yes, will prices change? Some will. They do have contingency fees like any project. But I think, and I don't know if we're going to have large amounts of money left over in the future. We should be spending this money, and if people are using the money they spent, there isn't going to be this money left over. And if there is money left over, maybe we should be using that to pay down debt. You know, we're not going to, the money we had was a kind of an anomaly, right? So if we're spending everything we have, and we do wind up with very few projects got returned. The only one I've heard of is the Veterans Park that returned a little bit of money, right? But that was in the tens of thousands of dollars, that's it.
We've had others through the years.
But tens of thousands, right? Not hundreds of thousands.
Correct, we've never had hundreds of thousands.
You know, if it's gonna stick and we feel like there's something there, I would love to pay down debt. I love paying down debt for this committee, but
Yeah, but it's bonds with fixed payments.
not all of them. Like, the bond isn't for Eldridge yet. We're not even issuing that bond for another year. We can always pay that debt down for the next 2 years until we're at substantial completion. So it's just a way of looking at it. I don't want to exclude people, but I just want to make sure, first off, it is fair between, I'm part of the town a little bit here, but I want to make sure everybody has an equal footing in applying for this money, because this money is supposed to be for things that don't get funded by the town.
Right,
In
exactly.
spirit, in theory, even though towns are allowed to apply for their projects, the whole idea of a CPC is for things that normally wouldn't get funded.
I think what bothered me, and I'm aligned with Bob, about what happened with the Eldridge Park is, I felt like we didn't have enough time. I felt like we had to meet 3 times afterwards. We had to have a public meeting really quick. I mean, that needs to be explained. Like, if you're gonna come in with an emergency still needs 6 weeks for us to calmly get to present it the first time, to go through legal review, to set up the meeting, to have the 2 weeks' notice, to have the public review, and for us to vote on. And I don't want to, and that we could say is a requirement. If you're coming in for an emergency, it's a 6-week at least window. Because they tried to get us to vote for it just in September. And then that whole thing became,
So
I
are
think
we
within-
suggesting emergency applications are okay?
no, I'm saying if we say it's for the second half, if we're saying we're gonna do something, then we need at least 6 weeks to even look at it.
Well, I actually believe we should be able to have applications for the second half. If there's money, there's money. If it's a good project, it's good project. If there's not money, there's not money. I just think they have to meet a timeline, which is what, June 30th or something, or is it June 1st? I forget which. Which one?
July 1st.
July
Why-
1st,
But
okay.
why is it July 1st? We can
Because that's
make it-
what we wrote. We can make it whatever we
Right,
want
that's
to
what I'm
make it.
saying.
We can
Probably
change
because
that.
that's a
But
new
I think,
physical
I think
year.
if somebody has a project for the second half, they should be able to present it, and we can either do it or not do it. I think they should be able to live on a timeline.
Right.
And by the way, we've almost always had money left over.
Yes.
We've almost always had money left over for various reasons. Not a lot. Actually, in the past, if you go back a few
Yes,
years, it was several hundred thousand.
Yes.
But more recently, it was inside 100,000. But we've almost always had a certain amount of money left over.
And I don't disagree, but I think July's too early and October's too late.
I don't care what date. I just want there to be a firm date that we live by.
July is the warrant closes in October for the fall town meeting.
Yeah, but you know what? The town was able to make that warrant work for us by coming in September, October. It was a week before it closed.
John?
They're giving us a date, I
Who
think
set
that's
that
not
Jul-
legitimate.
Who set July 1st? How did that get?
Subcommittee, so that,
No,
Because
we
that
would-
is, it runs with the town's physical.
no, it wasn't done for that
So
reason. It wasn't done for
some
that reason.
people, as we're discussing 6 months or a year, some are running off of a June spreadsheet and others are at the end of the year. So you've got 2 ways to run a business spreadsheet.
But our money doesn't come in like that. We don't find out we're allocated.
I'm just thinking of reports that we're asking for.
Joan, when I first did it, as I recall, we didn't, it was May town meeting and that was it.
Correct.
And that's the way I think it should be, for a couple of reasons. One that Michael touched upon, which is that people see money, let's jump in. And what's more, is we might have folks out there that have a really great project and they're following the rules. In other words, they know they have to apply by November. And then all of a sudden, somebody comes and grabs the money that might have gone to their cause because we saw another cause that we felt was worthwhile. I just think it leads to confusion. I think it also requires, whether it's the town or any of the private committees, to plan better. And otherwise, it's just going to keep putting us in this position. So I don't think we should have an exception.
Anytime we had an exception, it got ugly.
What's that?
Anytime we had an exception, it got ugly.
You got what?
Ugly. Main Street
Yes,
got ugly. The Eldridge, we all believed in it, but it got testy. I mean, 5 million was a
Are we
big
all on the
ask.
same page here?
I mean, we could take a vote and say, do we want to go back to May only?
Well, I think we need to take a vote, because that way, if somebody comes to an emergency, we'll have to take another vote to even consider it. So I like that.
Okay.
So
All right, so let's take a vote. Who wants to make a motion?
I'll move that we require that all applications be submitted for the annual town meeting.
I couldn't hear what you,
The annual town meeting, that all applications will only be considered for the annual town meeting. The way we've historically done it.
What's the deadline, May?
No, it's our deadline is whenever we look at them
November
for
application.
November applications.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
see, I'll say it again, I think we should be able to have second-half applications. They should just have a firm deadline. And if it's a good application, they meet the deadline, and we have the money, then we do,
Okay,
fine.
one
If
second.
we don't, we
Whoa,
don't.
whoa, 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 whoa. If someone want to second what Bob just put out there?
I'll second it.
Okay, so let's vote on
Well,
Bob's.
we should be able to talk about it.
No, so let's talk about it now, before we,
Someone seconded?
I did.
okay. So let's talk about the going back to a May deadline. Dick?
So can I ask Charles a question? Charles, for my own edification, again, new, you're talking about 2 cycles? Are we talking about, we have a November cycle, correct? That's the main cycle, November
Right.
deadline?
Right.
And what would the second cycle be?
The second cycle would be the fall. It would be something that would go in front of the town in the fall town meeting, assuming there is a fall town meeting, and it would go in front. And if somebody has an application and we have the money and we choose to do it and they meet the deadlines, I don't see any reason why it should be once a year. I mean,
All right,
Well, while we're talking about, if we look at the exceptions, off the top of my head, the 2 that come to mind were both town projects. One would be Masonic, and the other one would be Eldridge Park. I think the way these wheels grind so slowly, it seems to me that it just is a case of better planning. Again, I don't feel strongly about it, but on the other hand, you're going to have to educate people, because historically, all the committees know that they need to come in so that we start our hearings after November. So if you're going to have it be twice a year, you're going to have to keep it well publicized, and I don't like it, but if you want to do it, it's fine. But I like the way it originally was, which is, this is when you apply.
I'll comment. I like to, this is when you apply in May. If something comes up with the town, we need to have a discussion that we can't have it rammed through in September. Like, it's an emergency. They have to plan. I liked it that way because, to your point before, Bob, everyone has equal footing. And it gives us more money potentially for someone to come in for a bigger ask in May versus all of a sudden we're using, if we had 200 grand left and we gave it to a couple of small projects the second half. And
I'd be willing to modify it, my motion, to say that all applications are due for the annual town meeting, you know what I'm saying, with the exception of applications that the committee feels are emergency applications. That gives you a little bit out. Again, what we're really talking about with what Charles is saying, and I'm not saying it's a bad idea, is we're talking about doing something diametrically opposed to what this committee's been doing for years. We're saying we're gonna come in twice a year. You choose, applicant, do you want to come in for the fall town meeting, or do you want to come in for the annual town meeting? If you want to do it that way, that's fine, but as I speak to the idea of an emergency thing, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Maybe we
I've
don't
been here
vote.
about 5 years, and from the first year I was here, the very first year I was here, we had a fall application that came through. So it's.
How long has the
it's
CPC been
the
here?
Main Street.
Charles?
Main Street came through as an emergency for
Well,
bonding.
Anything that's been defined as an emergency, I don't know how you define an emergency. That's it.
They came by and we didn't vote for it because we
But
could,
we voted on it.
but we didn't
It was,
fund it the
it was,
first
it was a legitimate application. There were two separate sets of meetings, as I remember.
But
that
we
took
didn't
place.
fund it, Charles.
We didn't fund it, but we voted on it. It was considered. I'm not saying we should fund, I'm saying we should consider if people meet the appropriate timelines. Two different things. Whether we fund or not, you know, if, we make that decision.
How about this? I would like to talk to Stuart at the CPC to see how other towns handle it.
Yep.
See how many towns do have it for both town meetings. And also know that sometimes we might not have a town meeting, so someone waiting to apply won't get funding if they wait because,
Because there'll be no town meeting.
town meeting. But I would like to get that info. Yes?
Just wanted to read from you from the guidelines for our committee for 2023. Remember that working group?
Yeah,
Yeah, but now that's why I think we need another team. So it doesn't matter what those say.
but they're,
It just says that applications are due each calendar year. It's always within, it's posted review schedule. The CPC maintains the discretion to consider a proposal that comes in after the application deadline, so long as sufficient time exists to consider the application within the committee's posted review schedule. So if your review schedule is just for once a year, you might consider something came in later or not. It's up to you.
Well, I think it's worth not deciding on it now. I think it's worth me asking Stuart how other towns do it, and then have a little committee just to look at the application and make a recommendation.
I will withdraw my motion.
Okay,
I'll withdraw my second.
okay.
I
So-
just,
By
I'll
the
just
way,
make a comment that if I may,
Yes.
that we're just really clear on this stuff, because this is where this is where issues can fester and come from. And when I joined this committee, I was told, or after, when I read the information at the beginning, we were only doing it once a year. The cycle was once a year. For some reason, then it became,
Yeah.
and it's tough. This is tough decision-making, but, we have other cycles as a town for planning that are our town meeting, and we stick to those, and when those town meeting, and things are due, and things are planned ahead of time, and if it doesn't make it, like we did last night, certain things weren't ready, they're not going to this town meeting. They're gonna go in the fall.
Good.
And we can't constantly be at flux. I wouldn't suggest it. It's gotta be kind of firm for anybody who sits in these chairs. So,
I agree. So why don't I talk to Stuart and see what other towns do? And then at the next meeting, we could decide how we want to take a vote, have a little sub-team to rewrite those requirements. And we made those pretty nebulous on purpose, I think. But maybe we can actually ask, like Mike Solito or someone, to look at it legally, or just give a point of view. And then also talk to the town manager's office to say, this is what we're going to do, one way or the other.
So, Jim, when the Eldridge Porch came up, and I was in communication with Stuart too at that time, and he was clear that there, at least my understanding was, there are some fall applications, but there should not be major applications in the year. I mean, that was, his point of view is major, huge applications should not take place off-cycle.
I know.
I mean, that's what he said last year.
And some of the
There must be a
feedback
reason
from
for that.
people was that they felt there wasn't enough consultation about a big project, because it was rushed.
Yeah, it was rushed and it got tense and it wasn't fun for some of us. So I'll talk to
But
Stuart
if I
again.
can add one thing, they've done an amazing job.
Yeah,
They
they've
did a
got it.
presentation last night to the select board of what's gonna go on in there, and they've been able to work the phasing in. They're able to get the project done. They're holding off on that half basketball court at top until we also make a decision on, hopefully, on the bathrooms and the band shell. But they're going to, if you want to see what they're doing, it's in the select board packet. They've done an amazing job. That group with what we have, they still have about close to $900,000 in contingency in that. And the project's going to start within less than 5 months. It's going to start, I believe, in September, right after the last game.
It's a great project.
It's a great project, and they're doing a great job, and even some of the things they were able to switch out, they even said on certain playground, it wasn't necessary that we actually had that. They were able to find some cost savings, which I was really impressed with, by having to sharpen the pencils and relook at some things, and, so.
And I'll circle back to my idea of, I'm okay with it if it's an emergency application deemed an emergency by the committee.
Right.
That's really, so now we're back to, we want all applications to be coming in May. And if you want to come in for the fall town meeting, then the onus is on you to prove that it's an emergency. I think the town proved it was an emergency.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of other situations where it's not going to be an emergency. So I don't think it's going to be something we'll deal with very often. But I'm very comfortable with the annual town meeting, unless it's an emergency that's deemed an emergency by the committee. That leaves the door open for Charles in his point of view, but it keeps us where I'd like to be, which is all the applications are coming in for the May town meeting.
So I just want to, and I'm not disagreeing, what date should that come in by? Because we do need 6 weeks,
Yeah, no, I'm fine.
You need it printed in the warrant.
and we need it printed in the warrant.
You
So,
need to go back to when the warrant gets printed, and then at least do 6 weeks
correct.
prior to that. So there is a calendar that they have for the fall town meeting.
And we meet normally once a month, so if it's 6 weeks, that means a couple extra meetings that we were able to pull off this year, but maybe it's 8 weeks. I mean, so let's.
Maybe the word isn't emergency, maybe the word is critical timing. I don't know, you know,
Right.
I mean, emergency, is the playground an emergency? I don't know if what, you know, we're kind of using that word as
Well, it was
critical
fine with
timing.
critical or emergency, but.
Saved a year.
The point was, they needed to get the project started before the Firebird showed up.
After,
and So on.
yeah.
So I think there's a way to come up with the wording. I'm not sure we have to go to Stuart, because I think we're sort of on the same page.
Sometimes Stuart can give you, from other towns, can provide, like, why don't you consider it this way?
Yeah,
And some of the wording could be just picked up instead of us going from scratch, so I can ask him. But I do think, I would like everyone to think about what would that timing be? And I can ask, you know, Michael, like, if the warrant, we finished our warrant
We
stuff.
just finished our warrant, this one, I'm on this
Right,
cycle
so you
right
just
now,
finished the
today.
warrant now, but, right, like last week,
Last night.
last night. So,
It goes to print on Friday, tomorrow. So it's May 11th, so you got to say the full, it's about 5-6 weeks, so it should be 5-6 weeks before the town meeting, and then so you need 12 weeks before the fall town meeting. The fall town meeting's in, say, November 15th. You need 12 weeks before November 15th is for the applications.
but when we had the Eldridge, we were nowhere near 12 weeks.
No, but that was something, I guess that's why we're talking about, because it didn't work, but if you want a fair,
The deadline is,
Yeah.
we might consider the application at the July meeting, have a presentation at the August,
finalize
a
September.
hearing at the end of August and vote in September. It leaves October, 6 weeks to get the warrant ready.
But the two applications we had did not fit that timeline from the town.
You just need to do 6 months after whatever you do for the deadline of the fall. Fall's November something, right? What is the date?
Oh, we had July, and but we had July now, and they came in September.
I know, but that's what we're trying to avoid by
I know.
this whole conversation is, right? So, I mean, the cycles, the town meetings go every 6 months, basically, so it should be 6 months after the fall.
That would be
logically.
May.
Yeah, so why not May? Why not give the time, even to Bob? I agree.
Well, now we
Once
didn't-
people know they need to plan, we need, and planning means your project has been thought through for a good period of time, which is all good due
So we
diligence.
do 5 months now, because we have applicants at the end of November.
And we have the bulk of the
Right, so it's 5 months out.
End of November, so that would be what, end of May? So jump June 1st. Either way, you know, just somewhere around that date, that you're going to 6 months and add 6 months in 6 months. And town meeting doesn't always fall exactly 6 months apart. We're not doing it maybe November 11th. We may do it November 20th.
I'm okay with that. Do we want to, Bob, we want to restate that, your idea of critical timing? Try it again?
Yes.
Okay.
You're gonna talk to Steve, you should talk to.
All right,
I-
I'll
that's-
start,
We're not, it's not critical we do this right today.
Correct.
But
I'll-
I think it's critical we talk about it
Yes.
and we figure this
I
out.
think we're answering my question. We're in the same boat here.
Yeah.
Yes, and we're
Yes.
moving forward. It's just, let's get some other
yeah, I'll talk to Stuart. and we
research
could-
done and
we could-
do it.
Why not, yeah.
'Cause I think we're all in agreement.
Okay, I could do that.
Will mean a lot more meetings for everybody.
So I want to go back to what someone else mentioned about the project application updates. Jennifer, could you send everyone who we gave money to, who's out there, who haven't given us updates, a reminder that they owe us an update? And Charles might have his updates, but especially, we want an update on timing of what's going on, not 10 pages, but maybe a condensed update. And then.
I have OCT updates too.
Great.
so-
And then, when we send out the confirmation after the town meeting, we should just look at that letter to make sure it's clear of what we expect from them.
Yes.
Okay. All right, anything else that everyone else said? I think we're pretty good. Okay, the one other thing I want to bring up, some of us are up. I think I have to tell you, Michael, that I'm gonna ask to run again, because my term is up in June. When do we have to put in writing somewhere? Because other people's terms are up. Charles, is yours term
You
up?
say run again.
Well, actually, I was,
Oh,
I,
you're a historic. It's-
well, and actually, and Kevin told me that I will be eligible for another term with that. And if I do that, I'll probably be back here too, but we'll see.
Okay, so do we have to put something in writing?
I think they usually notify.
Yeah, just
There's somebody I have to notify.
Molly.
Molly? Okay.
Molly Bates.
Right.
If you have any questions on your volunteering, please contact Molly. She can tell you if you're, where you are in your cycle, whether you are up this,
Well, I'm up.
I'm up.
I'm up, but Kevin's the liaison for the Historical Commission. And he said because it's a regulatory convention, you can do a third term.
yes, it's the regulatory.
Then I'll probably do a
regulatory-
third, then I'll probably do a third term.
And that'd be exciting to sit next to you.
Okay,
3 more
I
years.
will find out. Okay,
I'm up in June also.
they're gonna let you
Is this your
stay?
3 years?
No, they only let them give him 1 year.
Oh, right, okay, I remember. Well, then we'll work it out.
Stephanie, you're at large
No,
now.
I'm at large.
Dick, you're not up for a while.
I'm gonna still call Molly.
Okay, there you go. Bob, how many, you're not up this year, right? Okay, all right, so that's good, that's great. Okay, so review of current projects.
And all these projects get a written report as well.
Yes, unless someone here is gonna, like Dick is gonna tell us now about enhanced trail signage. So let's go through them.
Update, not necessarily a report. I was
Right,
just
just a
thinking
little
half
update,
a
couple of
page,
bullets,
guys.
right.
This isn't, it just,
Here's my updates.
well, there you go.
Yeah,
Then
exactly.
you're
Paragraph-
done.
they're
Then you're
paragraph.
done. They just need to be that people thought about this. They
Yes.
asked the question. You can share it with
Jennifer.
everybody before
Ah,
the
look at
meeting.
We'll
this.
forward this to you. They're written updates for everything.
Perfect.
Okay, here, Hardy, you don't get
I
one.
thought you'd be excited.
Here, you can give,
Excited about
you
that.
guys share one. Do you two Bob one?
So you give them one more,
This is
and then you
an update.
take
This is a
this.
little fancy.
You know what I'm saying? He's got one.
What is this for?
So, yes, this was hot off the press today.
Yep. You guys
So,
can have.
the enhanced sign, trail signs that have been out there for 6 years got thrown in my direction about 4 months ago. So I started to design. We have 6 locations at this point in time that we need to fill with signage, which meant we had 11 locations that have signs similar to this already up. So everything I had basically designed, I turned an about face and said, let's keep with the same design for all the trails. In this case, this would be the one for Peck's property out on Aries Pond Road. I decided to take a turn for the education of the Wampanoag history in that. It does have areas of historic significance in the property, around the property. So that's how this theme came up. We're doing the same thing with Seacole Farms. There is information there. So the information that was on this was basically researched through the Historical Society, working with Dan at the Cape Cod National Seashore, wrote a report for the, I think it was Historical Society, Charles?
Historical Commission, yeah.
Mission. And so we used that information, and then we engaged the school as well as the Wampanoag language, the reclamation, Wampanoag reclamation language, or language reclamation. So the reason this is held up and not giving you a full-fledged one is, and we're finding it with Seacole Farm as well, I think it's in the 3rd paragraph, there on the third paragraph, 4th line down, and all of a sudden you see a word, "weeku," that I've never heard of, and so it's "we too," and
too.
then "weeku" is a children's, a "we too" that is an educational base for kids, for children. So we're doing some research right now. I mean, we got it today from the printer, actually, said, when are you guys ready? So we've got some calls out as to the "weeku" versus "we too," just to make sure that we're exactly correct there, because it actually came from the teacher's liaison at the middle school.
Susie Remillard?
Sue's doing a great job. She came up with it, and all of a sudden, it's like, ooh, where'd we get that? So little things like that we're finding as we're going along. So that's going to be ready within, we'll have that at PEX within a week.
Great. And you're gonna spend the 30, Dick?
I don't think we're going to spend 30, but I want to say we're not. I don't
Okay,
know-
perfect.
I don't know anything about the design bill. I haven't seen how the process has worked in terms of a receipt.
Okay.
Jennifer?
I had a change.
Yeah, this is why I'm here.
The term, each year we get a grant from the Tuke Family Foundation through the Cape Cod Foundation,
Mhm.
or CPC. And at the time, it was used for
Oh.
this project.
Perfect.
Part of the requirement is that we have to acknowledge them.
I read it in the letter that one, didn't you send us a Tuke letter for,
Yes, I sent you the letter, so I just added at the
Yes,
bottom,
she did.
that way you've acknowledged CPC, we should.
you can keep that, I can just do it right here. Would you like to keep this?
I would love to keep one, but I live from.
Please, okay.
Great. Thanks, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Can I make a point?
Yes.
The only thing I would say on this is, we did a land acknowledgement in our charter that the town voted. And we also made a policy at the select board, and we read it at every select board meeting. We
I
also-
know that, yep,
We also read it at the town meeting.
yep.
And that's, that's from our charter that the whole town voted. And that language is in here. I like consistency between,
You're doing everything right now.
You know,
We're giving you to look at it.
Yeah.
It's there in front of you. We're not going to print until everybody kind of chimes in and says, I
I
say.
just feel that because the whole town voted at town meeting,
Yeah,
I hold that to be a very
point.
important thing. And it's just, as you know, last night, it's also, I can give you the wording, but it's on our select.
Correct.
It's on our
you say it every time.
yeah. And every committee is welcome too, if they want to.
So,
But,
and the TUP, we got the, regarding that grant that we just received, you sent out a one-pager that they're very explicit as to how they want it to be, how it wants to be posted. So obviously, that was something that I didn't know, so there's 6 years of a learning curve going on here.
Easy
So
mix, it
we're-
was great you
So
shared
we're
this.
getting it, so this is how the process will work, this is here, we'll get you, the next time we'll have C-Call, we'll have that proofed and ready. And so we're hoping to have all this up by June, and then we'll have an idea of exactly what that amount that is going to be.
I don't think CCOL was, I'd have to research, I don't think CCOL was tube funds, so you don't have to do tube, just CPC.
Well, that's where you're just going to have to be, your magic wand to tell me what I can and cannot do around that, Toops, and I'll remind you.
Great.
And so please look at it and have questions. If you see something, I know that there's a comment up here, 3,000 years. Someone's looked at me and said they were here way before 3,000 years. So I'm researching that. So there's a bunch of stuff that's still in here that I'm still working on. So that's why I'm not putting it out until we have it, and that's why it keeps getting longer and longer.
We also did some research, just so you know, the Veterans and Memorial Day Committee for the park, because I think you remember at town meeting, I don't think it was CPC money, it got shot down. And then we agreed to put the land acknowledgement in the park.
Yeah.
And then it passed. It was on the floor that somebody made an amendment to add. It was Alyssa and Chris Kenega, I believe it was, which was really exciting. And then the money passed, and they've done an amazing job with the money this committee has given them. But we did a whole marker, indigenous marker, that uses the wording from our charter, our land acknowledgement, that's in Veterans Park, and it's getting installed literally next week. But there's a marker there already, but that's where I'd love to see that personally, at PEC, at C-Call.
That could be the last time Wampanoags are mentioned in signs, being Orleans, and so that we'll include them when we have that in there.
I have a
Unless
question.
you would like one, every single one like you do at the meetings, would like a Seacole Farm be the place for, that?
I mean, you can have it, I think, in your sign, that you just our land acknowledgement, but this is the actual, what it will be at Veterans Park.
So, Michael, I'm wondering, and Charles, if that should go to, I don't know if it's historic, maybe it's conservation, that they've asked CPC to fund that, to do those markers through all our key properties.
I would love that. I mean, we have the
We
money.
just
You already
need-
have
That's what I'm asking.
you already have a pool of money.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. So
Yeah.
But if you're gonna spend, if you're not gonna,
if we're gonna do it,
the
we're gonna
next
do it right.
year, you can come back and ask for money to do those plaques at
Yeah.
all the relevant.
I think it would be
areas.
amazing. And then what we talked about at the park, just so you know, we didn't include QR codes. We're not having them on the plaques, but we're having something right next to it. Because the QR code may be irrelevant in 5 years, and this plaque's gonna be around for 25, 30 years, right? 50 years, hopefully 100 years, whatever. QR code, there'll be a new QR code thing in 10, 15 years. But being able to tie them all down and have this whole wayfinding of where in town these are, people love, I think you know, to go
Yeah.
when they travel and
Yeah.
read a plaque or read something history about a town. And so
It's a good idea.
I'm all for it.
Okay, we're gonna have to go fast because we have.
Sorry.
No, I think it's a great idea, and I would love to see that for next year. She'll probably use this. Okay, John's not here. Stephanie, shared use path?
First of all, on here, I have two things. The French cable, we have two closeouts of that. Is that what we're gonna do, or we're reviewing current projects, sorry, number 4. The shared use path, there's still $8,800 for signage. We've been going back and forth between uh, CCRT and the town DPW, trying to determine what the style of those signs should be, and getting permission from the state to put markers on Route 6A toward them. So there has been progress, but that has not been resolved,
Okay.
that additional $8,800.
Okay. Bob, I think you already told us about the garden walkway.
Yeah, I have nothing to report. Regrettably.
Okay, so they definitely need a letter, Stephanie.
Yes.
I mean, Jennifer. Okay, open space, that's fine. You just have that funding there for 10.5, right, Hardy?
Yeah, I forgot about that one. I just have the OCT update.
Okay.
Sorry.
But
But
Stephanie,
yeah.
this is,
That would, well, what that was originally for was, we had every year asked for money so that when a property becomes available and you need to have an appraisal done in order to even bring it to
Right.
the select board, you need to have funds to be able to go to an appraisal company. And that is what those funds were there for. So then you need a bank, you know, an amount of money sitting in an account, even though you don't have, you don't use it all up. You need the money there to be able to do that. So I had put that one in many years ago, and what we talked about was, is that something that we can roll that over so that, or does that need to be pulled and then they come and request it again? And I thought what we had decided was,
Over.
no, we can just roll it
Yep.
over.
Yep.
And so that's what those funds are.
that makes sense. Okay. Charles, just do all yours.
Yeah, I'll do them. For the Form Bs, we will be getting, at the next meeting, like, I guess next week, we'll be the 25 and 26 work was was rolled into a single contract. And we should have that, and it's in process, we'll get a reading. I mean, that's in process, it's being done as we speak. The archaeological project, once again, that got delayed because the person who did that took a job with and then he lost his job, and then he got his job, and I think he may have his job now, but I'm not sure. Anyway, they put a bid out for that, and that the desktop review is complete, the reconnaissance survey phase is ongoing, the walkovers are scheduled for March 30th and 31st, if necessary, April 6th. MHC has issued a permit for the work. The Tribal Preservation Office has been invited to participate. It's due to be completed by September.
Great.
So that will be continued for,
Yeah, it'll have to be continued because, but it's in process as we speak. Public education, which is the third one, an RFP for the bulk of the project will be presented to the Historical Commission at the next meeting. It's expected to fund a plan going forward. Some of the money will be used to fund an intern to assist with short-term public awareness program. Once again, it'll be finished by the end of September.
Great.
For the boat. Just a second. The 511,000's been raised, 250,000 about came from us, the balance is separate. 100% of, they're in the process of setting up preliminary reviews with the Orleans Town Department for Architectural Review and Zoning. They're hiring a campaign director to oversee the capital campaign on a full-time basis. It's moving forward. I mean, it takes time, but it's moving forward.
French cable blinds?
I
Oh,
think that was
it moved.
Francesca.
Francesca. The Academy, Peter has been out with some surgery. He is using this money in combination with the money we're approving for this year to finish up the shutters, and I am hoping this is it for the Academy. I mean, Peter's been great to work with, though. I mean, they've,
Yeah, so he's not a timely, extensive reporter.
yes, not a timely reporter, correct. I go knock on his door. But they've been busy all summer. They have full plans for the summer. I give them a lot of credit for everything they've done. They had a fundraiser recently. I don't know how it went, but they do need to raise some money outside of the CPC. John's not here for Northwest Schoolhouse. It gives us a lot of angst. Those invoices come in, they're incorrect almost every time.
There's another one in the mail slot now.
It's.
Sorry for laughing.
It's just not fun. It really, the Northwest Schoolhouse concerns me because I don't think they have a contingency plan once the two people running it leave. I mean, it's basically those two guys. And I do think we have to talk about some of those contingency plans for some of these historic buildings, and we need these preservations restrictions, and they cannot spend any money that we vote on yes for.
They've completed their preservation restriction, they've submitted it, it's the town that hasn't replied.
I sent Mark,
I'll follow up on restrictions in a bit, but,
okay.
yeah.
But I do think we need to talk about some of these, the French Cable Museum concerns me also. What's their backup plan when all these volunteers leave? I mean,
You're right, John. We've talked about it a little in the past, but the first question we have to get answered is, what power do we have, for instance, if they go belly up?
we met with Mike.
My guess is that we have no standing.
Well, we met with, after you did all that work last year, we met with Mark and Mike. We're still waiting. I mean, it has really been torturous. It's not a top priority right now for the town, and it's concerning because, yes, if they go belly up, we have all this money in it, and,
It's over.
yeah.
Who were you talking about? I couldn't hear you.
So we've been meeting with, for all of them, the preservation restrictions. Bob did the work. They were on almost none of these properties.
Which I know.
Right. And so we met with Mike Solito and Mark Reel last August to try to get it done. It's still dragging.
And for instance, Charles, the signed, notarized agreement for Hurd Chapel show, I gave to them so that it could be lodged, but hasn't moved.
For whatever it's worth, and I got involved in this with the academy, and we eventually did get a preservation restriction done for that. The problem is, we don't see, as monitors of this, as liaisons for this, we don't see what's requested. If I'd known the Cho that they weren't responding that, I would have been able to get a response very quickly.
No, they responded. It's the town.
I'm saying it's signed and notarized.
Okay,
That hasn't been lodged with Barnstable County.
but I don't know if, as a liaison, that one appears to be going through. As a liaison, do we know what's being asked for? It doesn't come across my
So
desk.
Jennifer's going to fill you in, because we've been working on this, of what's being asked for and where people stand. This is the preservation restriction needed for 27. We have 15 minutes left. But we can also fill you in. Joe's been very responsive.
Yeah, I would have assumed they had.
French Cable,
Hang on just a sec. I'll just fill in for Francesca. Simpson sign project is progressing. We got another invoice on their budget. Everything is sticking to the budget. They asked, one of their suppliers asked for a deposit, which we don't do. So the organization is happy to pay the deposit. They'll submit the full invoice. Okay, so preservation's restrictions.
yeah, let's do that, then we'll vote to close.
I've had a response from Dwayne at French Cable that he will be back and be ready to sign. He's coming back for May 1st or something. They have a draft restriction, so they'll action that with our town. Peter has the Academy one. He's asked for another version of it in a lot of different formats for him to work on.
There was an academy restriction for
Something
that.
was not,
Yeah, 2000, it's old. We want
old.
a current.
Do they expire?
No, we want to include, it has to be brought up to date to include everything that the town feels is important. And the language is somewhat different in the current template than it had been previously.
Trying to make them all the same.
Do they pull the old one and replace it with a new one, or does one get put on top of the other?
They,
One on top of the other?
so, that's so schoolhouse is already in consideration. So those three projects are the ones that it looks to me like we're gonna need going forward. I think we need the town department to give us a legal opinion about what we're gonna do about the Coast Guard vessel. How do we protect the infrastructure the town is putting money into when we're only doing part of it, you know? So that has to be
And we have time for that.
consideration.
Charles has time for that.
And I don't know about how we protect an investment in archival material. I don't think we do. So
Will do.
I don't think we need anything new this year.
Okay.
We just need those three definitely signed. And I think the Hurd Chapel one has to get filed with Barnstable.
Okay, so I could talk to Mark again to see if we can, I mean, I leave a lot of.
They're all moving, which is good.
Okay,
And we
great.
have new council for the town.
Oh.
So that happened this spring, so that may be a little bit of the transition, and this might not have been the highest
Priority.
priority. They're trying to get us to town meeting and a lot of these things, but
Yeah.
we did switch council from Mike Ford to Murphy and Hess, which
Okay,
we'll miss Mike, but we also have a great new firm, so.
right. They were very fast. Okay, let's go vote to close. Can we just do these as
Can I
one?
have a vote to close those accounts I've listed?
Yes. Someone want to make a motion to vote to close these?
I would make a motion, Madam Chair, to close the completed projects on agenda April 2nd, 2026, item number 5, A through H.
I'll second it.
Great. Okay, we have to go around. Bob?
Aye.
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 Name?
Oh, Joan Franklin, aye.
Dick Gilmer.
Stephanie Gaskell, aye.
Charles Ellis, aye.
I, Michael Herman.
Hardy Truesdale, aye.
Great. Okay. Now we need to vote on the minutes of March 12th. Someone make a motion.
So you don't want to report on OCT?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead, Hardy. Sorry, they're not on this list.
I'll go in a couple minutes. Okay. So the select board voted last night to place the Cedar Pond Shore project on the warrant. They had some questions and suggestions about public access, and OCT agreed to continue partnering with the town to sort details once the land is acquired. John Janelle and Christina Smith went out for a site visit recently to advise on public access options. And they're kicking off the private fundraising this month. The CR is being reviewed by the state. A survey is underway, and the compact has pre-acquired the property. All is going according to plan. And as far as the trail guide goes, they are picking examples from other towns they like. They've decided the guide will include one town-wide map that keys to descriptions of different areas, but not individual trail maps in the print guide. Those will be at the trailhead kiosks and online. This will help make future updates easier and make logistics simpler. They're working on a similar template to the Barnstable Land Trust. And that's it.
Great. Those were great updates. Sorry,
Yeah.
Hardy. I didn't mean to skip you.
No worries.
Okay, Jennifer.
Artie, we're gonna apply the TOOP funds we get this year to that acquisition. So that should be just noted for future signage.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. One thing about the warrant, I didn't watch the meeting last night, but I got a message, Stephanie and I got an email from Lynn Bruneau making suggestions that we change what we wrote. I replied to Lynn that it was a little late. I suggested we can take some of considerations for next year, and I sent it to Mark. One was easy, why do we have cents? Why doesn't it just rolled up to the, highest dollar amount? And there was some others about breaking out where we already have money given to by category. I don't know if that's necessary. So there was some suggestions, we could talk about that after the town meeting to see, what would be, and I would love her input before, now, because it was a little late. I had a few things going on. So by the time I read it, it was a little late to get those all, but she gives great suggestions, so we'll do that in the future. Okay, so now we can go ahead and vote to approve the minutes of March 12th.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have to go around. Hardy?
I, Hardy Truesdale.
Michael?
I, Michael Herman.
I wasn't part of the meeting.
Okay.
I, Stephanie Gaskell.
Hi, Joan Franklini.
Hi, Richard Hilmer.
Hi, Bob Wilkinson.
Great. Okay, now we can vote to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
5:51.
51. Dick seconded. Okay, go around. Bob?
Hi, Bob Wilkinson.
Hi, Richard Hilmer.
Hi, Joan Franklini.
I, Stephanie Gaskell.
All right, Charles Solis.
I, Michael Herman.
I, Hardy Truesdale.
Okay, thank you, everyone.